Hello, and thank you for joining us here on the Neutral Zone. I am Phil Milani, joined as always by my trusty sidekick, my partner in crime. Really, the best way to describe this person is my everything. It's at Eric Delala.
Phil, you brought a tear to my eye.
Yeah, well, it's very sunny out here, so maybe
sun,
that has.
we can pretend like it's your nice words.
You know, it's the start of training camp, Eric, so we had to move to our ultimate podcast studio, Fieldside.
The outdoor podcast studio.
Field level, yeah.
You can see in the background where some action went on.
Yeah.
If you're watching on YouTube.
And if you're watching right now, eventually you'll see probably some lawn mowing, maybe some sprinklers.
Us getting sprayed by water.
Hopefully not us getting sprayed by water, but yeah, there was some hot action out there earlier.
Yeah, and Phil, I'm hoping that some people that haven't previously listened to the show might be tuning in because, of course...
You were walking around outside, huh? You were with the fans.
I was a salesman.
A man of the people, really, is what I
handing out some free swag.
Normally, you have to send in an email to get a sticker, but if you showed up on day one of camp...
NZ Nation sticker delivered right to you in line. So if you're listening now, welcome to NZ Nation.
Tell me if I'm correct in this, but you're like, hey, I'm Eric Delala with the Neutral Zone, and they were just like, where's Phil?
That happened a couple times. I didn't have to say my name. A lot of people said, Eric, what's going on?
Oh.
Where's Phil?
Yeah.
And I was like, it's only 8 o'clock. He's not here yet.
You should have just said, I'm sorry to disappoint you. It's just me right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any comments on your hair or like were you wearing a quarter zip?
Someone pointed to the logo and said, which one are you? And
no.
I found that a little bit offensive because...
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm the good-looking one. And then
yeah. You're the dork.
Oh, I'm the dork.
Yeah.
Got it. What does that make you? Goodness gracious. You want to talk about DVOA all the time.
That's true.
Yeah. So day one of camp here in the books, and so we'll talk a little bit about what we saw, but in general, we want to talk about where this Broncos offense is.
Right.
Eric, so many years in the past, everything's been about this defense dominating out here during training camp, quarterback competitions, all that kind of stuff. Enough of that. I want to talk about the offense.
You want to talk about touchdowns.
I want to talk about, dominating offense. Not quite there yet, but we'll talk about where they are. And then maybe what questions we still have. What do we want to see over the next week or so of training camp? And then also we'll hear from Broncos general manager George Paton.
That's a treat.
Yeah, I had a chance to sit down with him. I had a nice little chit-chat. I made some jokes.
As you're known to do.
I think that he likes my jokes. I'll just say I think he likes my jokes. Yeah. NZ Nation likes my jokes.
Of course they do.
They don't think I'm a dork.
They can like your jokes and still think you're a little bit of a dork.
Yeah. So it's a nice little show we got in store here.
Yeah, we're excited.
After several weeks of just countdown to camps.
This is our first full show back.
Yeah, exactly. You were on vacation for what, like 5 weeks?
It's not really vacation. I just kind of go into a dark area and I plug in.
Oh, really?
And recharge.
Almost like sort of like a cocoon, like a shell type of thing, you know?
It's like if you got like a Roomba or something.
Yeah.
And you use it too much, sometimes you just got to say, we're going to plug this thing in for a little bit. Let it recharge to full power.
Got it.
And then get back after it.
Like, have you ever seen one of those sci-fi movies where they go into outer space, but because the trip is so long, they have to kind of go into like a deep hibernation.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're the same age when they get there. It's almost kind of like that. Yeah, it's almost like that.
Is it in the Matrix where they're all like in those little
in the pod
tubes?
where you got a thing in the back of your head.
Yeah, that's why I'd show people, but it's a little personal.
Yeah, that is very personal.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing it, though.
You're welcome.
So we're back. We're going to be here until January, February, maybe.
March
could be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be nice for March, so we'll see. Eric, this show is a really interactive type of a show.
Yeah.
Tell the people exactly how they can get involved.
Oh, my gosh. There's so many ways, Phil.
There is a lot of ways.
You could watch on YouTube.
Yeah.
Leave a comment right there.
The official Broncos YouTube page.
Well, naturally.
Yeah, leave a comment.
Smash the subscribe button.
Yeah.
We read the comments.
Tom Magnetti is always commenting. We're back, Tom. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
Get us up on your plasma.
Plasma or LCD? One of the two.
Yeah. Hopefully.
We're not sure.
Maybe not plasma anymore.
Yeah.
That's sort of an old technology, right? Plasma.
You could email us.
You can email us.
neutralzoneshow@gmail.com.
Yep.
We read all those as well.
Yep.
Or you could call in and leave a voice message at 707-NEUTRAL.
That's a nice way to do it.
We'll play it right here on the air.
Voice.
We got some really good messages from our friend Zach with a C.
Zach with a C. Yeah.
Non-traditional spelling.
Non-traditional. Yeah, of course.
He was going on.
Yeah.
It made me laugh really hard, Zach.
We appreciate that.
I'm not gonna. He really wants to know about quarterback throwing motions.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I'm not
gonna talk about that right now.
Oh, really? That's too dorky.
That's like a little too much even for me.
Oh, got it.
But I appreciate the insight or the.
There is one other way to get involved in the show.
Well, you could follow us on Twitter.
Well, yeah, of course.
At Eric Delal with an A, at Phil Milani with a PH.
Non-traditional spellings.
Right.
Or follow the Broncos Podcast Network.
Yep.
I think that's just at Broncos Podcast.
It is. What's the other way?
The last way you can get involved is if you come to training camp here and sit on the berm and just yell.
Yell our names.
I got a little bit of that today.
Did you?
Yeah.
Phil.
Yeah.
Phil.
Yeah. And I was standing next to Kelly Klein,
and
she was like, "The people love you." I was like, "I know."
That's inside info right there.
It was like, Pat Surtain, yeah, Russ, yeah.
Phil.
And then I Phil.
Yeah. I took a selfie up with somebody online.
You did. Yeah.
It was great.
Did they post that?
I don't know. I didn't.
You got to retweet
check.
it. You got to retweet it.
Yeah. You got to check that out.
Okay, well, those are all the ways you can get involved in the show. So please do that, and we'll play some of that. We'll read some of that. We'll engage. That's what we like to do.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's dive into our first topic here. And Eric, just one practice down now, but let's talk in general where this Broncos offense is right now.
Yeah. I think it's in a better place than it was leaving the offseason program, which may sound a little bit ridiculous because they haven't done anything since then. Mm-hmm. You know, like there hasn't been a team practice, obviously, since they broke minicamp. But watching the offense on Wednesday, I thought the operation was a little bit better, getting in and out of the huddle, not as many pre-snap penalties. I don't think I noticed a pre-snap penalty for the first-team offense on Wednesday.
Nope.
No interceptions, had a couple touchdowns. It wasn't perfect by any means, but I thought that there was some growth there. And I wonder if that comes from two things. One, Russ did have another throwing session in San Diego with his receivers, with Lloyd Cushenberry, with some tight ends. And then the other thing is I just think time on task. It's sunk in a little bit. They've had another install for the third time now. You've kind of let it percolate for about a month between minicamp and now. Yeah, I mean, like sometimes we have a great idea.
Yeah.
But we don't always right away know how to implement that idea.
It takes time.
It takes time. You got to let it float around a little bit. You got to think on it. Do some great thinking.
I do a lot of thinking.
Yeah, yes, you do.
Yeah.
And so I think the Broncos offense, maybe just the fact that it's been another month and they've had some more time to study. I was actually somewhat encouraged by Wednesday in terms of where they were compared to the end of the offseason program. And that doesn't mean it's perfect, but in a better spot.
Yeah, it wasn't like, helicopter?
Yep, we didn't mention that as
sound effects.
That's a drop. Ben Swanson put that in.
Yeah, nice transition from when you were talking right to me. Helicopter. No, I would say it wasn't like Russ was out there slicing and dicing this defense up.
Right.
But it was just an efficient day, I would say. They didn't want to stretch the field, like do any 2-minute kind of thing, where they're trying to drive the ball. They did a lot of red zone kind of work, some fine tuning of things, but it's really hard to just dissect into every little practice. That's a hard way to go about things, but there seems to be more of a confidence and more of an energy from that side of the ball. And one thing that we heard from Russ, he talked at the podium, met the media after practice. He said that they've been doing practices in the morning.
Walkthroughs, yep.
Like a walkthrough in the morning that's sort of like just like a player type of deal.
Yep.
And he said that he likes to get here around 5 o'clock in the morning. That's very early. You're already here.
Right. I kind of wonder, I'm like, where's Russ?
Yeah. But he was here very early in the morning.
Sure.
Said Montreal, Washington was already here.
Yep.
I like that.
Puts the work in. Rookie.
Puts a rookie
nice day on Wednesday.
Yeah. And I just think that that kind of mindset, that kind of attitude, that's the sort of thing that will eventually get this offense where it wants to be.
Yeah, I think in previous years, you mentioned the energy. In previous years, it was somewhat of like a nervousness of how is this going to turn out. It definitely is closer to just an excitement of when is this going to fully click or what is this going to look like at full strength. But I think the other thing to mention is, and like you said, red zone was the focus on Wednesday. So it wasn't like there was a lack of big plays because they just didn't connect. They didn't run any of that stuff.
Everything was really tight.
Right. Yeah. And that has to do with Nathaniel Hackett not wanting to, get these guys hurt or put too much pressure on them, like stress their bodies too much on day one. So we'll see more of that middle of the field stuff, I think, as camp goes on. But I think in terms of that energy, that's a really important change.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do think stylistically it's important to remember that this team, Phil, while there will be times that they take shots down the field, everything we've been told from Nathaniel Hackett, Justin Outten, Russell Wilson, they want to prioritize the run game too. And so right now it's hard to tell when Javonte Williams hits the hole. He's not going to run through these guys that are his teammates, but it's possible that in a game, something that looks like a 3-yard run here could be an 8-yard run.
Oh, breaking tackles.
And then it sets up play action. So some of this stuff I don't think we're going to get a real sense for until either they play in the preseason or week 1 in Seattle. But I do think I don't have any huge concerns about where the offense is.
Yeah. It's just like instead of a quarterback competition, and that dominating the talk and, breaking down every little thing that the quarterback does, you just know where things are. Do you know what I mean? And like, we know that there's talent on the offensive side of the ball. There's a lot of pass catchers, a lot of playmakers. We know there's 2 running backs that are really good. There's no knock on Mike Boone. He's good too.
No, Mike Boone actually got reps right after Javonte today.
Yeah. So,
Wednesday.
I think that that side of the ball, plug in Russ, there's going to be stars there. Now, one of the concerns maybe we'll talk about in just a little bit here is the offensive line.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. But I think we just have more of a assurance of, look, there's playmakers on that side of the ball now.
Most definitely.
So feel good about that. I guess we could talk about the defense a little bit too.
Yeah,
Did you see anything on that side of the ball?
Well, I just think that there's a sense normally that like a defense clicks a little bit faster than an offense.
Just has to go out there and execute. It's not like they're really like game planning and like sort of like learning a playbook so much to say.
You, I think, typically would say that some of the complexities that may exist in terms of an offensive playbook, the defense has to react and has certain rules and all that sort of thing. But once you learn those, I think some of it might be a little bit reactive.
Yes.
Obviously, the back end in particular has been playing together a long time.
Players just make plays.
Players make plays.
That's what they do.
They're in a very similar defense to the one they were in a year ago. Some of the verbiage is different, but the scheme is the same. And so that all helps. But all that pushed aside, Phil, I think this is still going to be a good defense.
Me too.
Like, I think some of it, I don't want people to think that, the defense looks good just because the offense is figuring things out or just because they're a little bit ahead. Justin Simmons is viewed by people across the league as perhaps the best safety in the league. Pat Surtain is viewed as definitely a top 10 cornerback. Some executives voted him the number 1 cornerback in the league already. That kind of blows your mind to think about.
Yeah, what was that on ESPN?
On ESPN, yeah. Some voted him the number 1 cornerback already.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That is a little bit crazy.
Oh, you think that's too much?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jalen Ramsey is probably the best.
Okay, well, Pat Surtain.
We could just see what happens.
Yeah, we could.
Maybe like just.
Well, I think
this year it could be.
I think this ranking was supposed to be a projection of 2022.
Got it. Yeah.
So projection.
I think he could get there.
You have a Bradley Chubb who's looking as good as he did 2018, 2020.
George Paton had a lot of nice things to say about Bradley Chubb.
He did.
He said that he looked like he did during his 12-sack season.
Yeah. Which I relayed that comment to Bradley on the podium, and I think he actually sounded a little bit offended. He was
because he's like, I'm better.
He was like, I'm better now, and I was like, okay, that
maybe just like how the body looks and how he's getting up the line and that kind of thing. Not like his pass rush moves,
right?
Because you learn these kind of things, where you go like that.
Maybe you used to just have like this, but now you also have some of this.
Yeah, he's probably been working with DeMarcus.
The cross job
at DeMarcus Ware
at the Von Miller Pass Rush Summit.
Yeah.
Important. Going into the season, Phil, I think it's important the Broncos have a top 15 defense.
Yeah.
You let Russ play, make plays on defense when you need to make them.
You let Russ cook.
Stay in these games.
He doesn't play, he cooks.
Sorry, let Russ cook.
And he also rides.
He rides. Yeah, let Russ ride.
He did finish off his
he does it every time. He says, let's ride.
Let's ride.
But I think after watching them and really thinking about it more, I do think there's a chance that this is a top 8, top 10 type defense.
Yeah.
It certainly has the star power. It's more about how do you put it together.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's not just good stars, but there's also like quality depth there too. I mean, like on day 1 of camp here, PJ Locke was making some really nice plays.
Right.
The backup safety.
I know.
Probably, well, I mean, NZ Nation might be. You got something you got to do here? You want us to just pause the whole show, or what would you like to do? Is everything okay?
Everything's great.
That's good. I was kind of concerned about you right there. You got an important phone call. That's okay. We can make time for you and your phone calls.
Yeah.
NZ Nation and me, we'll just wait.
Just wait. I'm done now.
Okay. So we're back?
We're back.
Oh, we're back on. Okay.
I'm really interested to see how you kind of edit all this together.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to put like maybe some color bars. I think that's what we just saw. Some color bars there.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, I was just trying to make an amazing point, but
you said a lot of quality depth players.
Yeah.
You saw PJ Locke.
Yeah. He made some nice PBUs.
PJU.
No, PBUs.
PJ. Okay.
Private jet.
Got it.
Plays. No. So I think that there's a lot of quality on that side of the ball, and I think the Broncos stacking up pretty nice.
Yeah, I'm excited to see, again, who really knows what any of this means until week 1. It's very easy when you're out here every day, you're around this team to convince yourselves of certain things, to say, oh, maybe they're not as good as they need to be, maybe they're better than they actually are. It's hard to say until you see them against a real team.
Yes, and when they actually game. Well, we're going to talk about some concerns.
Yeah.
So we do have some concerns. It's not like everything's all peachy around here.
Ooh.
I have some
like
concerns.
A good peach.
Yeah, but I said peachy, not
so
just one peach.
That's bad. What is? There's all sorts of noises happening.
Yeah. Okay, this might be a good time to take a second and get to my conversation with George Paton. We had a chance to sit down, talked about a few things as the Broncos season really starts to get underway here with the beginning of training camp. We're sitting down with Broncos general manager George Paton. George, the players reporting back today. You feel the buzz in the building. What makes you excited about this team?
You know, you're always excited this time of year. You know, there's buzz, there's optimism, but I just like the way this team goes about it and they work. And I thought we had a really good offseason. You know, I think we had 99% attendance rate, and so you mix the new with the old, and it all comes together. And now we just take the next step. So I really like this football team. I like our depth, and you know, they want to win, and they'll embrace the process of winning.
There is a lot of buzz around the whole city, not just in the building, particularly because of one guy, Russell Wilson. How do you approach things with him? Do you say, hey, don't put too much pressure on yourself? You know, you're in a new place. You got something that you want to prove. Do you tell him, hey, just play your game?
You know, Russell's been in this league 10 years. I mean, we have really good talks. I don't really need to tell him, you know, how to approach it. He's a pro. You know, he's obsessed with winning. He's been through everything, a lot of pressure situations. So, you know, not much I need to tell him.
He is obsessed with winning, huh? Have you been around a guy like that?
No, I've never been around anyone like him. You know, from the moment he wakes up until, you know, when he goes to bed, which is often late, you know, as you can see by some of my texts. But it's refreshing to have, you know, your best player, a guy that is obsessed and loves the process of winning, like we talked about.
I mean, he named his kid Win.
That's pretty big. That's a good sign, huh, Phil?
Yeah, it is. Last year, of course, we head into camp. There's a quarterback competition. Yeah. This year, Russ, obviously the guy. How does that change just the mindset, just knowing that, hey, this guy's our leader?
No, it's great. And from the minute he stepped in the door, he's our leader. And I think that's great for your team. The team rallies around him. And like I said, when your leader is your best player, you know, it really helps your football team.
For you, the next couple of weeks here, training camp, preseason, how do you spend this next month?
Yeah, I mean, we're evaluating our team every day, and then we'll get into the preseason games and you evaluate your team throughout those games, and it's just a process, and you're always evaluating the wires of other teams and who they release, and if we can upgrade our team, and you know, the bottom 5, bottom 10. So you're always looking to upgrade, Phil, and team building never stops.
There's competition all across the board, of course, but are there any positions that you're keeping an extra eye on?
You know, Phil, I really like the depth of this football team. I think we're going to have great competition at all the positions. So I'm excited, really, for all the positions, the competition we're going to have. And Coach Hackett always preaches competition. And again, we're going to have a lot of good battles.
The last one here for you, George. Nathaniel Hackett, it's going to be his first training camp here as a head coach.
Yes.
How do you be a resource for him?
You know, we speak every day, we collaborate every day, and we have a great synergy with each other. I'm there for him, he's there for me. Talk players, talk scheme, you name it. But we're going to be a resource for each other.
he grew up going to camps. I mean,
this is old hat for him. And when he was going to camps, when he grew up, they had 2 or 3 practices a day. So this is nothing for him, right?
Yeah, 100-degree weather, who cares?
Yeah, this is nice. It's about 65 right now.
Yeah, exactly. If it stays like this, we'll be all right.
We'll be in good shape.
All right, George, appreciate your time.
Appreciate
Looking forward
Phil.
to it.
Thank you very much.
My thanks to George Paton for spending some time. Eric, if people are watching on YouTube, we shot that on the other side of the field looking this way, and now we're on this side of the field, we're shooting this way.
That's kind of confusing, isn't it?
It's a little bit crazy.
Got it.
Yeah. So what did you think about that interview?
I loved it. I liked your, as I said before, as the show was starting, I liked your banter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, I mean, anything really specific that you liked? Or
No, I mean, that'd be like asking me to choose my favorite child.
Got it. You couldn't do that.
No.
Do you think Russ's favorite kid is Win, or
No, I
that
don't
wouldn't
think,
be fair?
I don't think he would choose either.
No, he wouldn't have choose.
And they have a daughter as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I brought up Win because it was very
Apt.
Yeah, apt. Yeah, It fit the moment.
Right.
Yeah, it was nice. So, obviously, George Paton is feeling confident. But one thing I appreciate about George is, as excited as things can start to get in, he said as much that people are excited inside this building. He always will remind everybody that he is a 7-9 GM.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Like, he doesn't want to get too far ahead of himself, and he knows that.
Yeah, even after last year when you won the award for the best draft, that was still George Paton's message, essentially, is that we are what our record says we are. And right now, we've got to be better.
Yeah, he's a very humble person, I would say. So, our thanks for him to spend some time there chatting. So, let's talk about some concerns, Eric.
Yeah. No more Mr. Nice, Phil.
No more Mr. Nice. I am interested to see how the offensive line comes together.
Definitely.
Because you have invested a lot into Russell Wilson, and now you need to make sure that he stays protected.
Yeah.
And so this offensive line, anytime Nathaniel Hackett is asked about it, he doesn't really just say, like, this is the plan, this is where these are our guys. It's always sort of like, we'll see.
Right.
We want some depth there. We want some flexibility there. He doesn't just sort of say what's going on. That makes me concerned a little bit.
Makes you a little bit concerned.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, the injuries to Tom Compton.
Billy Turner.
Back procedure. Billy Turner on PUP.
Billy Turner has not practiced since he joined the Broncos.
Correct.
That concerns me.
We think it's a knee, right? Is that the report?
I think so, yeah. Some sort of a leg.
Hasn't really been
lower body.
talked about, exactly.
In hockey terms.
In hockey. People are big on the
hockey.
A lot
of hockey around here. Yeah.
A little too much, if you ask me.
Oh.
Okay. So right now it looks like, if neither of those guys are healthy, maybe Calvin Anderson, maybe Cam Fleming, who the Broncos signed on Wednesday, are options. But that spot in particular is one you've got to figure out, because you can't leave protecting Russell Wilson to chance.
Yep.
Not just for this year, but for the years to come. And, when I talked to George Paton at the Senior Bowl way back in February, before the team traded for Russ, he said fixing that right tackle position for a long time is a major priority of ours.
Yeah.
And they haven't been able to do that. And maybe Billy Turner becomes that guy if he gets healthy. He's still, I think, young enough that he could be a multi-year answer if they choose to extend him. But the Broncos have to figure that out, because that's really important. And then I don't think that there's an absence of questions elsewhere on the line.
No, it's just that nobody's sort of set. It feels like Garrett Bowles is the only person along the line that's like, this person is going to play this position, is going to start there.
Right. Well, I would say Lloyd Cushenberry III.
He seems to have established himself as a starting center.
Going to start at center.
But nobody's been like, he's our starting center.
No one said that. You're right. But I think there's questions about both of those guys. I mean, with Lloyd, can he take that step physically?
Yeah.
That he needs to hold up, when the Broncos play Aaron Donald on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And obviously, no one can block Aaron Donald one-on-one now. But when you play a Chris Jones, can he hold his own?
Yeah.
So you don't have to. So it doesn't blow up the game plan. Garrett Bowles at left tackle. Which Garrett are we going to see? Because he was a second-team All-Pro in 2020.
2020.
Didn't have quite the same season, I don't think, last year.
Yeah.
Obviously dealt with some injuries for the first time in his career. He's got to show that he's still kind of that top 5, top 10 left tackle type of player.
Yep.
Quinn Miners is a guy I probably feel best about on the line.
Yeah, right guard maybe?
Yeah, I think right guard is where he's going to end up.
Yeah.
And then left guard's a big question too. Does Dalton Reisner end up there? And hold on to this
Muti,
spot?
maybe?
Yeah, Natani Muti, Graham Glasgow.
Yeah.
There's some options, but yes, when you look at this team offensive line is one of the questions, and it's a big question. But we've also seen teams overcome offensive line issues with a great quarterback. I'd rather have a really good quarterback and not as good of an offensive line than the other way around.
Well, one of the things about Russ is that he is not the type of quarterback that gets rid of the ball very fast.
Sure.
You know, like if there's a knock on Russ, it's that he likes to hold on to the ball a little bit. But to make up for that, he's able to elude pass rushers. He's very shifty in the backfield. And we heard so much about them talking about there's a second play that is created.
Right.
And so I think that I'm just interested to see how that all comes together. Obviously, there's a couple of preseason games they'll be able to work. And then when the pads come on here or this weekend, we'll be able to
get an idea.
Get a better idea.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That's one area.
Okay.
Another area I would say is like there's been good talk about Nick Benito that we alluded to earlier, but I would say pass rush is just an area that I'm like, I haven't seen it just yet.
Sure.
Because it's like it's Bradley Chubb.
Yep.
And then it's like, well, Randy Gregory's been hurt.
Yep.
He looks great, but he hasn't been out there.
Right.
And then it's Malik Reed. It's Baron Browning, who's we've heard good things about, but he played a different position last year. Malik Reed, and then Nick Benito, maybe Jonathan Cooper there.
Yep.
You know, just some unproven guys at that spot, I would say.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not a knock. It's just, you know, you got a rookie and then a couple of guys who are still figuring their way out at that position.
Well, I still do think the biggest question is Bradley Chubb, because if he can stay healthy, he's an elite type player that I think any team would want to have start, and so if he can be healthy, that solves a huge issue for the Broncos, because then you're just trying to figure out, okay, well, is there somebody that if Bradley gets double teamed, they can take advantage of that?
Yeah.
And maybe Nick Benito as a rookie can take advantage of that. Maybe Malik Reed can take advantage of that. Maybe Randy Gregory's healthy and is able to come back and play. But it all starts with Bradley Chubb, because if he's not playing at an elite level, then even if Randy Gregory's healthy, you've probably lost your best pass rusher.
Yeah.
And so that is difficult. So it all comes down to Bradley Chubb. He's got a good mindset. I like where he's at. He looks the part, obviously, like he always has. He's looked fast. He's gotten by offensive linemen. Hoping for the best there, but it is a question.
Any other areas that you're like, I want to see?
Yeah, I would say two things. One is that Ejiro Evero has never called plays in the NFL.
Yes.
And so I'm interested to see how does that play out when you get to preseason games. Obviously, a lot of that's scripted and you're just running stuff, but how does that play out then? And then the regular season, how quickly does that come together? Because I think that's probably the number one question in terms of, is this a good defense? Is this a great defense? Is how quickly can he master that?
Obviously, Vic Fangio was a very talented defensive play caller.
Right.
And so it put this team in good positions a lot of the time.
Right.
You want to see how that transitions with Evero.
Right.
I will say Evero has been very sharp.
Right. And, we've heard nothing but good things. We expect that he will do a good job of that. But until you see it, you just don't know.
You don't know.
And obviously there's different situations that come up, and you got to figure out how to handle all of them.
Adjust, yeah.
The last question I have is, how does this team handle adversity? Nathaniel Hackett has a ton of energy right now. Everybody's fired up, going out to practice.
Optimism reigns.
Yeah, Melvin Gordon was talking about how much fun guys were having, which hasn't been the case the last couple of years, in his words.
Yeah. But there's going to be times.
But subtle blast.
Yeah, it was subtle.
Small but not so subtle, maybe.
Yeah, not really subtle.
But if this team loses a couple of games in a row, how does Nathaniel Hackett handle that? How does this team handle that? I think having vets in place like Justin Simmons and Russell Wilson is a huge help. But again, some of these things, until they happen, you don't know what the response is going to be, and that's one of those situations.
What about even something just as simple as, what if Hackett wants to do something one way and Russell Wilson wants to do it a different way?
Yeah.
How do they handle those things?
There's all sorts. I mean, at some point an injury is going to happen.
That's going
right?
to happen, yeah.
If a important player goes down, how do you move past that? Those are all things that, things are not, what did you say, peachy?
Peachy.
Forever. And so
there's adversity.
I'm
you got to
interested
go
to
through
see
the
how
flows.
Nathaniel Hackett handles that as the head coach.
I agree. I mean, just think about any Super Bowl team. Their season isn't just a smooth ride into
Sure. The Bucs started
victory.
7-5 in 2020.
Yeah.
The Rams were not in a great place.
No.
This Broncos team, when they won in 2015, there was
a lot of one-possession games.
A lot of one-possession
overtimes.
games. A lot of adversity there. Peyton's hurt. Brock's coming in. A lot of adversity there. So
you have to have toughness, and that comes from leadership. That comes from coaching. Comes from a mindset.
Right.
Some of that is being developed out here right now.
Sure.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of potential that we just need to see it start to come together. So, all right. Anything else, Eric?
I don't think so.
Time for some shout-outs, maybe?
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah. The Broncos did win the ESPN Sports Humanitarian Team of the Year.
Yep, got an ESPY.
Our friend Liz Geralds
Kudos.
got an ESPY.
Shout out
to Liz Geralds.
Yeah.
That was very impressive. I know the whole community department was very proud of that.
Of course.
Pretty cool. Is that the only NFL team I think ever to win it?
George Paton said the other day it was a second NFL team. I think it might be the first.
Yeah.
I think that might have been a...
Wow, was that a blast from you?
Not a big blast.
Okay. Any other shout-outs? I mean, anything else going on that you'd like to shout out?
Sierra was at practice on Wednesday.
She was, but she might not be at every single practice.
That was kind of a weird question.
Yeah.
Someone was like, "Will Sierra be here every day?" And Russ just kind of like whispered,
like, what?
It was security.
Yeah. They marked that reporter.
Yeah.
He's going to be escorted off the premises.
Followed.
Yeah. I already heard maybe a restraining order.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I already heard that. Yeah, that was nice. A little bit of a fanfare there.
Yeah. Well, we already shouted out Zach with a C, but I'll shout out all the fans that came out to practice on Wednesday. We hope to see some people, some more people.
Maybe Saturday, back to football Saturday?
Nope, that's not what it's called. Back together Saturday.
Back to together?
Back together. Not back to football.
Back to gather.
Gather footballs.
Together.
Yeah, gather together.
We're back together.
Yep.
Where were we before?
Apart, I think, is the...
So before apart, now back together.
Yes.
We used to be together, and now we're getting back together.
That's correct.
I got it. Sorry. Back to
Are
football.
you learning the language right now?
Yeah.
Got it.
That was good. Thank you.
Yeah. So nice to see people out here. Their support has been continued, obviously, during difficult years, and nice to see some people that recognize us.
Yeah, that was your highlight of today. Huh?
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah,
I like to meet NZ Nation.
It was nice to meet NZ Nation. So, hopefully, this weekend. I think easier to come out on the weekend.
Yeah, a little bit. Pads will be on.
You don't have to
Pads
go to work.
Popping.
People don't go to work on the weekends usually. We'll be at work.
We'll be at work.
Yeah, but this isn't really work, is
right.
it? We kind of just play around here.
That's true.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Neutral Zone. We talked about some positive, some good momentum this first day of camp, and just sort of in general where the offense is. Touched on the defense a little bit. Heard from George Paton, and then maybe some concerns, some things that we want to see play out here in the next week. I feel like maybe next time we get together here on the Neutral Zone. Back together, maybe?
Back together
here on the
Thursday,
Neutral Zone. That'll be next Thursday.
Yep.
We'll know a lot more about this.
I think so.
At that point.
I think so.
Yeah, so that's exciting. You just know the
really
work is going to be
exciting.
put in, and we're going to know where this team is.
Definitely.
All right. Well, until then, that's going to do it for us. For Eric Dalla, I'm Phil Milani. You've been listening to The Neutral Zone.